How you doing, everybody? Chris Ree and Bennett with the Vancouver Film School. Welcome to the Storyteller Studio podcast. Today, I am hanging out with a wonderful human being who has given me reason to believe that my career dreams and aspirations may not have all been in vain. That one day I could work in the world of professional esports. Yeah. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thanks for having me. Yeah, great to meet you as well.
Everyone calls me Christopher, and I should have warned you about that, but that's all right.
Christopher.
Sorry, I'm not even going to take that out of the podcast, right? That's so future guests always remember.
They know.
Yeah. Okay. Only it's Chris when I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. All right. I like that. Like the switch.
Yeah. I'm so glad to have you on the show, man. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Esports is a really, really important thing in the world right now because what you guys are doing is really bridging two incredible industries. Obviously, sports entertainment and the video game industry. Yeah. And we've got a great video game design program here at Vancouver Film School. It is one of the top 10 in the world, and we take game design really seriously. So there's a real emphasis and a real focus on what makes games great. And if you go back, I think esports, you guys are maybe as an industry, truthfully, not even 10 years old, right?
I mean, there's much debate about that. But yeah. I mean, even let's just talk about the franchise model.
Sure.
I mean, that'll be season 3 Overwatch. So I even just call 3 years in the making right now.
That's incredibly new, and yet when I checked revenues just for the esports industry, not necessarily just the Overwatch League, of which you guys, the Titans are in, you guys are going to hit $1 billion market cap by the end of this year.
Yeah.
Like in a couple of weeks, that will be the valuation of the market cap for esports as an industry.
Yeah.
You're almost just over a quarter of the size of NHL pro hockey. And you're going into your second year for this league, and and you could argue it's 10 years old. Some would say maybe a little more, but my gut tells me you're probably at about a decade at most.
Of tournament base for sure.
For esports. Yeah. That's incredible. Did you ever think, even 3 or 4 years ago, that this would be a job?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. And even to kind of go back on that as well is, I mean, the esports revenue is off the charts. But if you just look at gaming revenue, I mean, it's projected by the end of this year, 2019, the gaming revenue is going to top around 150 billion. So when you look at that,
my God,
it's crazy. And Microsoft put out a report, and even Enthusiast Gaming as well. There's about 7.7 billion people on this planet right now, and there's anywhere from about 2.4 to 2.5 billion gamers, and that's casual. But when you really think about those numbers and what esports is now kind of rolling out to be, and especially this franchise-based model, it makes you pretty excited for the future for sure.
It's got obviously the economic support behind it. There's a thrust there. There's clearly an audience. I think the numbers that you guys would hit from a general audience of interest, I had read through a couple economic reports, is going to total by 2020, I think it's like over 250 million for total audience.
There's an actual report coming out that projected even in 2019, 500 million people have tuned into a esport tournament or game.
That's incredible.
Which is insane.
That's incredible. Yeah, and by comparison to more traditional pro sports, where it all of a sudden flips it right on its axis.
Exactly. And it's funny when you look at kind of the big four. So you got your hockey, your NFL, your baseball, and your basketball. I mean, it's no secret. All these markets are trying to break into overseas markets. NFL going to London, basketball going to China. And it's funny that esports has what all these other traditional based sports are looking for and chasing, is that global audience. And if you even look at the Overwatch League itself, we already have a global footprint in Seoul, Shanghai, London, Paris, New York, Dallas. Like we're already all spread out. So it's pretty remarkable that the things that the big four franchise or leagues are chasing, we already have. So now the objective for us is how do you monetize those eyeballs?
That's incredible. Yeah. And let me sort of throw something at you. I really want the audience to understand why this is so important, and this is something to really catch on to. Like even, TV and video, film streaming, like Netflix didn't catch on like this. No. The audience that has just latched onto this industry is extraordinary. If you look at baseball, arguably you could go pro as early as 1890. As far like baseball, and we're talking way, way back. Yeah. But you don't get at your first televised game or even a TV commercial talking pro till 1939.
Yeah.
So basically about 50 years goes by, and somewhere in that time in baseball, maybe early turn of the century, early 1900s, it becomes this thing where kids can go, I could be a pro baseball player. That becomes like a real option on career day.
Yeah.
Now you go to the very first video game. Mm-hmm. I would say it's Pong. Would you agree?
That's why I think about
probably
the joystick and
yeah. And Pong hits the scene in, I think, late 70s. I'm gonna say 76 or 77.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, they'll
eviscerate
me on
YouTube. You're getting fact checked.
Don't worry,
right
the
now.
comments will clean me up.
So
quick.
many people rip out their phone and
it's 75.
Christopher, God,
this guy doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
Is it 72? There we go. It's 72.
Yeah.
Jesus, it's 72, really. Yeah. You go from 72 to today, and almost about the right span of time, about 50 years. Yep. This is a real job. You can be a pro video game player.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And even at 18, like the rookie of the year in the Overwatch League, our player Haxel, 18 years old.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, are you shocked that? So before I even ask you if you're shocked, because I think you're probably in it every day, but I think too you've got, just so the viewer understands, I think there's about two types of esports that seem to be dominating. If you agree, let me know if not too. You've got your strategic, Dota or League of Legends type tournaments.
Tournament-based, yeah.
And then you've got your first person, Overwatch, Call of Duty, Halo, those kinds of, we call them what, the first person style?
First person action games.
Yeah. FPS, shooters, that sort of thing. Those tend to be the two types, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. And I would even say a disruptor in this space is even streaming. I mean, if you add that to other professional sports, it's a bit of a disruptor for sure. Where, I mean, Ninja, he's by himself and he streams. He makes a great income, which is more power to him. Awesome.
Sure, right.
But the thing that he doesn't get is that team base, winning a championship, and also playing for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back. And that's kind of the value add of what the Overwatch League and Call of Duty is doing, is tapping into that city-based model. And it's funny. Tucker Roberts, the president of Philadelphia Fusion in the Overwatch League.
Yes,
he had a
really, of course.
Of course, yes. He had a really funny story where they had a watch party, and Philadelphia was playing a New York team, and a few of his buddies came in and be like, I don't know this game. I don't know what's going on here. He's like, well, we're playing New York. And the guy turned to him and said, beat New York, go Philadelphia, and sat down and cheered on for the rest of the day. So that's what we're really kind of touching on, is just that pride between, when Vancouver plays Toronto or Houston plays Dallas. That's what the Overwatch League has been and had tremendous success at, as pulling on those emotions.
San Francisco 49, Richard Sherman.
Yep.
He was at your game in Philadelphia.
What wasn't at the game, but he gave us a big shout out. Actually, it was in Seattle, I believe.
Yeah,
put on a Titans.
He was wearing a jersey. Yeah, I was going to say Sherman.
Yeah.
This is nuts. The players.
Yeah.
They love this.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
this is crazy.
They get fired up, right? And actually, Richard Sherman's actually our brand ambassador for the Seattle Surge and Enthusiast Gaming.
There's so many more people that it's almost like they are, secretly popping their heads and like, I love watching video games too. Yeah. This is a thing. You're indexing and you're skewing higher. More and more women are getting involved in watching too. I think demographically your audience is growing there.
Absolutely.
Is that intentional and you're working to build that base as an industry and as a team, or is this just as people become exposed to it, it catches fire? Where's that interest coming from?
It's actually, for sure it's a direction, but even naturally it's happening. I mean, even if you look at Nielsen, who's a third-party market researcher that all the other big four professional sports use as well, they just put out that our median age is in Overwatch League is 24, which is substantially lower than the other big four.
Right.
But also on that, are in the age group of 18 to 34 in that demographic, we're the highest or the fastest growing AMA market in North America, which is absolutely outstanding. So, and with that, I think there's obviously you have the younger demographic, but with that as well, women. And there was even a big women in gaming conference just the other day.
That's right.
Yep. So it's more, I think it's naturally drawing that way and kind of casting the net wider, but also at Canucks Sports Entertainment, that's absolutely going to be something where you can be a male, female, whatever, a casual gamer to a complete diehard like Fox when our homestands come to Vancouver, and you're going to have a great time.
He is he loves Genji. That's his character.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. When I play, I like to play Diva.
Oh, Diva.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes. It reminds me of my wife.
Right. Yeah.
And she is a lethal, vicious killer of which there is no escape.
I love you.
But I think that this audience that's latching on to the player base, I think, has always been exciting.
Mm-hmm.
What is really fascinating to me is the number of people that are just tuning in like it's Monday Night Football.
Yep.
They're watching this. They can go back and watch it too.
Yep.
You don't. Most people, even when they PVR one of the big four sports,
Mm-hmm.
you'll rarely go back and watch the whole game. You check the score, you're done. But people will. I mean, I went and watched.
Yep.
Several playoff games
Absolutely.
just to watch some of the map strategy that the Titans did, and I'm looking at the views, and then 2 days later when I'm back, they're still going up. This is like a year ago.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's what's so cool of Overwatch specifically is not only are you watching the players, but you're watching your players to get like how did they do that? How did they do this? And then also the strategy behind it. I mean, Overwatch, there's just so much strategy to it. Each map, each player, each everything, right? So it's pretty unique in that way where you can just keep going back and back on Twitch and just and looking and learning. And then like you said, like now it's becoming mainstream where I mean Disney signed a deal with the Overwatch League, so it was on linear broadcast. It was on ABC and ESPN, and the finals were real time live, everything. So it's pretty remarkable that shift happened, and it was special to be in the seat that I was in because I remember a year ago, even when we first bought the franchise and the rights, everything esports was all financial post, all business. Now it's in the sports section. It's a sport.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm reading blogs.
Yeah.
There are journalists now. Mm-hmm. So by the way, listeners at home, you can go in and you can be one of those mouthy reporters who has something to say about the Vancouver Titans or any of the any of the teams. And I was reading a post about some of the bad moves you made in the offseason. I'm like, this is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
This is like literally, I'm a big NBA guy, and it felt like I was reading.
Yeah.
Just trade strategy, team strategy, some of the smart and dumb moves, and do you see that this was always there, and this is like the same amount? This is like when we were. Did you play video games growing up?
I did.
Yeah, I played everything too, and this was like Saturday night. Mm-hmm. All your buddies in the living room, hanging out, right, watching. And is this just an extension? Has it always been there, or did the games become more sophisticated, and because of that, the entertainment value of being the audience was there?
Yeah, I think it's always been there, absolutely, and especially the grassroots feel and what we're building out has always been there and will be there. But now, like you said, they're selling out like the Fortnite Championship, where who would have thought that the Fortnite Championship would be played where the U.S. Open is played? It's where the international we sold when it was in Vancouver. It was the fastest sellout in Rogers Arena history. You tell me that 10 years ago, I would laugh at you. But it's the fastest sellout in Rogers Arena history, and it was a 6-day event. Next year, the International's in Shanghai where the Olympics were.
Yeah, right.
So
League of Legends was here in the summer, weren't they? Or the year before? It was Dota.
Dota, that's the international.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
and
the
it
international.
sold out.
It's the fastest.
I tried to get tickets for a bunch of
yeah.
VFS students. Remember that? We couldn't get. We could only get like game 4 or something.
It was insane. So absolutely, just to answer your question, absolutely, I think it was there. But now, if you even told me 10 years ago that the purse for the international in Vancouver was $27 million, I would laugh at you. But it's
the purse for the Masters is only 15.
No, that's what people don't get. And one thing, and I gotta quote Andy Miller from the San Fran Shock, because he has a great quote where it's people keep even saying this is the future or the sport of the future. This is the sport of right now. Like Overwatch League just sold out Wells Fargo Arena where the 76ers play, where the Flyers play for the grand final. So you tell me that this isn't the sport of now. Like Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton is now a non-endemic brand that's in esports now selling digital goods. Like this is when you add everything in, we're here right now and we're rocking and rolling, which is it's pretty crazy.
Talking to Tim Holloway, the Director of Esports for Aqualine Entertainment, right here in Vancouver, home of the Titans of the Overwatch League, soon to be this season's champions. I believe in you guys.
Yes.
Couple things I want to ask you. And by the way, we're going to, over the course of this interview, we're going to probably just flash just some cool stuff, your players. I want anything we can flash up there. I want people to really wrap their brain around what an exciting time this is. I'm a young person.
Yeah.
I want to be a pro gamer. You get asked this all the time. Mm-hmm. This is like my dream job.
Yeah.
Where do I begin, Tim? Where does somebody begin a career? Are there even open tryouts to play for the Titans or any Overwatch teams? How do you do that?
So we're talking professional esport player or on the management side?
We'll get to the management.
Okay.
Yeah.
So professional esports player?
Just a player. How do I become a player of their trust? What's that like?
You know what? I do get asked this question quite a bit, and I just reflect it back to any other professional sport. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes putting in the hours to become a professional athlete. So, in basketball, that's going out, shooting the basketball 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, finishing your homework, going to school, and then going back on the courts. Hockey, shooting pucks, working with trainers, et cetera, et cetera. No different than here. It's more than just casually playing with your friends in the basement, per se. It's going back, like you said, going back and utilizing Twitch and other platforms to really understand the strategy of whatever character you're using and really put in the effort. And I mean, I always laugh that the good ones get hired, the good ones get seen. So, going to events, going to DreamHack, going to Vancouver Titan homestand festivals, just getting your face in the community. And that's one thing that's really unique about the esports community is it's very collaborative. It's a lot of people know each other, and we're trying to make that even more in sync and just bring people in the community together. And with that, I think you'll get in front of the right person. I really do feel that.
Now, if talk to me about the players this year. Actually, no, I'm gonna come back to them. I want to keep going on this journey. Now, I want to own my own esports franchise.
Okay.
What is the average? What's the going price? Me and Dylan and Danny are going to throw some money in the pot here, and depending on the price, maybe Max will throw in.
Yeah.
We would like to own a team. Mm-hmm. What are we talking here? Seriously,
it's
ballpark.
You're in seven figures. I'll say that. Yeah.
Okay.
Just for other things I can't get too much.
Sure.
Too
but seven figures.
You're in seven figures.
It's million plus category.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We could do it, Dylan.
Yeah. But with that, and that's what's really unique about, and I would love if you guys joined the ownership group in the Overwatch, because I actually think that's such a big positive disruptor for the Overwatch League. It's
and
just
you can, right? You can buy into it?
This season you can't, but then I'm sure next year they're going to open it up just because everyone's going to their home markets.
That's so great.
Yeah. But season one for Overwatch was 12 teams, and then season 2 was 20.
Do you think that this will mirror all the economic, twists and turns that we see in the Big Four pro leagues? Like, there's so much that it really does have in common.
Yep.
However, one of the factors that I would say the most obvious thing that I wonder how much of this has an impact for you guys, or you have to put more R&D or thinking into this. On any sport, you've got your turf, your grass, whatever, that your field. Mm-hmm. In this situation, your map is one thing. The game, but the platform too.
Yeah.
Your Overwatch is all PC.
PC. Yeah.
The specs, I mean, you're kind of more in like F1 territory or NASCAR when it gets into that, right?
Yeah.
Do you have the right? I'm sure you do, but to tell the viewers at home, this is just like NASCAR. You have people that check the PCs, that they go in and like for illegal modifications and stuff, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And the thing that's really unique and kind of special, and this is a very big difference between the Big Four, is that it's cool that our developer is our league. So Activision Blizzard, who obviously develops and is a publisher of Overwatch.
Yeah.
So there's so much collaboration with our league. I would say more so than the Big Four, because they have so much to do with the success of this league as well. So they're the one, Overwatch 2 rolled out. There was a new, the new metas that got rolled out in Stage 4, like all that kind of thing, keeping the game unique, current, and for the biggest thing is making the fans engage in it and how we can really draw more fans in and keep the current ones engaged in the game.
Sure.
So it's pretty unique where we're working so much with the league, or they're letting us know as well the future rollouts and how it's going to affect the game, and then obviously affect the league as well.
You've got an amazing CV, Tim. You've got sports business management in your background. It's in your blood. You could have gone and worked in probably any number of more established sports. Mm-hmm. How did you decide that esports was where you were? Did it seem like a gamble, or was this the easiest decision you've ever made? Because some could say, hey, I got a big gig for you directing the new axe throwing league.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll pan out, maybe it won't.
Yeah.
But esports, even despite it being, a decade of time, there's still people who'd go, no way.
Yeah. And for me, it was just an opportunity that was in front of me, and I jumped all over it. It was, and I'm very, very happy I did. That was probably
saw the potential.
I saw the potential, and I had the opportunity. So I was very fortunate to have that. And then I just took it and ran with it. And every day it's the Wild Wild West. Every day you're learning something. Every day you're wearing lots of different hats for sure. But that's what I like about it. That's what excites me every day to get up. And then when you really look at it, it's actually pretty amazing of just the people that were, in massively, senior leadership roles in the NFL, like our commissioner, Joanna Ferris in the Call of Duty League. She was, I think, an EVP of team branding from the NFL, left. Chris Overholt, who was the CEO of the Canadian Olympic Committee, left.
Your front office is impressive.
It's remarkable. Someone who I don't think gets enough praise is Daniel Cherry, our chief marketing officer. I mean, he ran Nike for however long.
That's right.
So
So when he was a big guy.
So
Nike.
I'm a cockroach compared to those guys. So if anything, with people that have their doubts about esports, and especially or more specifically the Overwatch League and Call of Duty, I got so much. I was a lot more optimistic when I got into the space because so many other very successful people in the other big four leagues and the Olympic committees also saw something and jumped on it. So working with them, working alongside of them, not only is it very exciting to be in this together, but I learned so much from them as well and pull off their experiences.
The podcast we do every week, storytelling is a real foundational component of it. And I think one of the things that I was so excited to talk to you about today in particular is, like in any pro sport, your athletes are often the story. Yep. The fans, there's an affinity and a passion for the home team, and there's that attachment. But we attach ourselves also to players and their stories, to their struggles, their successes. Everyone's got a favorite Canuck. Everyone's got a favorite player. Your team this year, it's predominantly Korean.
Yeah.
Is it all Korean still?
Yes.
These guys are incredible. How are they finding life in Vancouver? And how are you making them more accessible to the fans in a sport that doesn't always lend itself as easily to that? Not to saying it can't.
Yeah. Well, you just touched on something that personally, like, this is what I'm going to take the most pride in, and you hit the nail on the head. The storytelling of esports, that's where I think we're really going to blow up. We can talk about economics, projections, all this,
right?
But when people actually start hearing the stories of esport players, and specifically the Vancouver Titans, I think it's just going to make them really have that human connection, if you will, and have that emotional attachment. The Score actually did an amazing documentary on our team. That was Team Runaway.
I'm going to link to that while you're talking about it. I'm going to put that in the notes, Dylan.
It's incredible.
I watched
I
it.
just got goosebumps. Look,
Me too.
Goosebumps.
I watched it with my kid. It's really good. It was like HBO. It was good.
It was and even everything they did. Score. Big shout out to you guys for doing that.
The Score. I shouldn't say HBO. The Score. But it was that good.
Team Runaway's story, and I mean, some of the players were sleeping, five to a room, and the perseverance and the resilience that our players showed as Team Runaway. It all obviously translated into a very successful first season as well, and I know they're extremely hungry to get back into it for their season 2 and season 3 of the Overwatch League. In regards to Vancouver, this obviously the league was all based out of LA last year, right? So obviously they had their homestands in Dallas, Atlanta, and then in LA as well. But this is the first time that each team will be in their home market. So we've had the players up for meet and greets and whatnot, and they've fallen in love with Vancouver already.
What a sweet bunch of great guys too. Everything I see, and people tell me just like the classiest,
because they love their like they are their fans. Like they're as much as
feel that.
Yeah, they really are.
I would love to have them here at Vancouver Film School. Our game design program students would lose their minds.
Absolutely.
Are you shocked that there can be that hysteria for esport athletes like this that can rival those pro sports already?
Absolutely, and it was actually really funny. One of my first kind of gigs of like, okay, Tim, like we'll give you a small thing, and if you can deliver, then maybe we'll talk about you stay in esports. And I had to put on the first watch party, our first inaugural game. And I'll never forget this. We were playing the Shanghai Dragons, who the season before went 0-40. They didn't win a game. So here we are, no professional, like all 80% rookies on the roster. Very first game. And we're playing a team that could potentially be their first win in their history as well. So I'm just sweating bullets. And we had it at the sports bar, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, is anyone going to come? Like, there's no rule book here. There's no precedence. There's no like, what did the
stats say this? But is this market going to respond?
And we packed the sports. I think there was over 300 people in the sports bar like that. And here's the other thing too. There was actually I hope he listens to it. I didn't get his name. There was a guy who dressed up in a full Sasquatch. like a Chewbacca.
So you officially had not just fans, you had fanatics.
Fanatics, and
that's amazing.
And we were like, doors open. I forget, but doors open at 1. Okay, well, we'll start getting set up at 12:30. At noon, people were lined up already at the sports bar in West Georgia. Like, yeah, I'll send you the photo too of me and the guy in the Sasquatch suit and the line that was outside. It was remarkable. It blew us all away. And this is something that I will absolutely go to bat to anyone else who's involved in professional sports in the Big Four. You will not hear a louder crowd and a more passionate crowd than even an esports watch party, let alone a homestand event. It smacks you in the face. It really does.
I'm going to throw a video up as you're saying that to show some of the clips of some of the Titans games and some of the happening in Overwatch. What's interesting, too, is you guys have also Aquilini Entertainment now is the proud owners of a new Call of Duty franchise.
Absolutely, yeah. Seattle Surge. Yeah.
The Seattle Surge. So our sister city we love so much next door, Seattle.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. It's the start for this league.
For Call of Duty League, yes.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's very exciting. And one thing I actually do want to get out there as well that I don't think we discussed it enough even is Canucks Sports Entertainment. We actually own the rights to the entire Pacific Northwest. So Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver. We actually own that region. So when
all the franchises in that?
So Seattle, we already had the right to Seattle. So what's amazing about that is when we built out the brand for Vancouver, the name, the brand, the vision, everything for the Vancouver Titans and the Seattle Surge, we're picking up on and honing in on things that make the Pacific Northwest region I actually think probably the most desirable place to live and one of the most all-around best places in the world. So I really like to harp on that and I think when you take a step back and you look at our branding, look at our colors, this is a Pacific Northwest team. That being said, of course, we couldn't be more excited for the Vancouver Titans being Vancouver and then also the Seattle Surge being Seattle Surge. So that was my little 2-minute elevator pitch.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Talk to me about when you go on YouTube, Mixer, Twitch, critical platforms for you. Talking about storytelling, half that battle is where is your audience consuming the matches, whether it's live or in person or live through a stream. What's the politics of that? Are you guys indifferent? Do you care? Is it important that is more better from a streaming thing? Eventually, do you anticipate they're going to be fighting for the finals rights just the way CBS and ABC and Fox are fighting for the Super Bowl? How's the economics of that looking for you guys?
Big picture. I always laugh and say I let the league kind of sort that stuff out, especially with the media right partners and everything. It's pretty amazing. I was actually just reading an article. Billy in China just signed the League of Legends media right deal for $120 million or whatever. So clearly they're in the space. Twitch obviously signed the first 2 years of Overwatch League for $90 million. The money's coming in. I kind of let the smarter people deal with that. What I'm focusing on and what I personally think is what's going to bring esports even more kind of to break that reputational perception. If people still have that, it's going to be the actual butts and seats. It's going to be people that come out to our live home stands and home series in Vancouver and Seattle and experience just how much passion and entertaining an esports game is.
We were talking earlier about games like Destiny and a lot of these. Do you think it's coincidental? We've got a writing program here at VFS, writing for film and television, and last year we added and games.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is a very specific new segment and stream within that program for games, writing for games. Is it if I look at Overwatch, Call of Duty for sure, Halo of course, a lot of very rich backstories, the lore, the characters,
Call of
the
Duty
identity
specifically too.
Even the weapons and choice of armor have folklore to them. There's an identity. Do you think is that coincidental, or do you think it's essential for? Does it have anything to do with where the interest in that particular esport title comes from?
I think, and this is just me, my personal
I'm
hat,
curious.
I think Call of Duty is a very in a unique space right now because the one thing it has on its side, and it's a massive positive, is it's almost I like to call it a cultural phenomenon. I don't consider it a video game. It's in its 16th year. I remember I remember skipping school and playing Call of Duty. Like I remember playing
Yeah.
World War II. I remember
I think Dylan skipped work this.
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
Like, I know what you were doing.
If he was playing Modern Warfare,
Yeah.
it's excusable.
Yeah.
But when you look at even the sheer numbers, I mean, even the break into mobile games now. So when Call of Duty first rolled out in its first week, it surpassed over 100 million downloads. It was the most. I love this. I love this fact. It was the #1 downloaded app in over 140 countries. Then you look at when in October 25th when the game actually rolled out. It had over 600 million sold in 3 days, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah.
So
you played Modern? Did you pick up the new one this in November?
On mobile? Yeah.
Did you go on? On mobile, you did.
On mobole, yeah.
I got it on for PS4. Like the single player though is often extraordinarily story driven.
Yeah.
The multiplayer, obviously, like I'm trying to figure if I have to do the single player and I like it because I get smoked. If I go into the multiplayer,
yeah.
I mean, it's
game
devastating.
over. Yeah. Fox is chirping you on the headset.
My kid is actually really good. Sometimes I talk and he plays.
Okay.
Because when people hear his like little 11-year-old voice, they kick him off.
Yeah.
So or they say awful things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, keep it going, guys. Whatever. My kid's like,
here
we go, Dad.
Yeah.
Right. He's
Let's
amazing.
go. Yeah.
But I wonder if. Will the story be irrelevant? Like, I'm to your point, the fanatics show up to some of the games, and I've seen photos, and some of them are really decked out as the characters.
Yep.
The
cosplay aspect of it.
The cosplay aspect of it, and there really is a almost Comic-Con element tie-in to it.
Absolutely.
Are you guys embracing that the way the NFL has embraced the tailgate party?
100%.
Is that a good analogy?
Absolutely, and it's actually a great transition actually into my pitch for the homestand. But at our Vancouver Titans homestands for example at Rogers Arena, that's going to be full of activation. So it's going to be open well before the matches start. It's going to have that festival atmosphere and just even with the music elements and even kind of an expo element as well. And that's what's so unique. Good to go back to what we were discussing about. It's finally letting gamers that used to have kind of no hangout space, if you will, and even kind of esport lounges are pretty small. I mean, you're going to be at Rogers Arena. Like you can't ask for a bigger space to come meet people in your community and have fun. So we're absolutely going to utilize it and not only take the narrative that obviously the NFL uses for as a tailgate party, but I think just with how passionate and how I hate to say younger, but just how passionate and first time ever experience this is going to be for a lot of people. I think it's actually going to one up a quote unquote tailgate party.
I was reading a couple, not even a year ago, and this comes up every year in the Canadian Football League. Right around Grey Cup time, the commissioner will come out and the commissioner will make an assessment of the state of the league, and they'll talk about it. And on any given year, they're looking at a couple things to improve the quality of the gameplay. They're looking at things that are going to drive fans, make it more appealing to advertisers, all those sorts of things. And invariably, there's often this conversation about should Canadian football try to mirror more like American football? What elements should they or what should they keep distinct? And there's a really interesting conversation, and the press gets really involved, and it's obviously in consultation with the owners and the individual teams.
Yeah.
When you've got a game like Overwatch and map design and map layout is everything, does Activision stay out of are they really separate and agnostic from a league like this, or is it essential for them to be, I guess what I'm trying to say is in consultation with the teams and the owners to talk about what makes for more exciting gameplay? Like they could make a creative decision in a game that could make it more challenging for a player, but not necessarily interesting for the audience.
And I personally, and this is just not only like on a league to franchise base, we have great, we're very collaborative, great lines of communication, but where Activision Blizzard and I'll speak for even the Vancouver Titans, and I'm sure for the other franchisees, we just want the best game for our fans. And I think when you have that kind of that like mind, you're going to roll out literally the best product for your fans, which will in fact be the best product for us as well.
When you find it's not unusual, I think Destiny's a great example, and you have to tell me if it follows similar in Overwatch, as I only play through my son, and like I said, I get spanked when I play him. But often the meta of the game, which so often you will see at the pro level, it really it reveals itself in particular in weapon selection and play style. They will often nerf the meta to try to create balance. We don't have that in pro sports. That's
No.
a unique thing.
Absolutely.
And that really, do the fans understand that, what could be happening at the start of the season could be fundamentally thrown upside down if you go to nerf or buff a particular loadout that has an implication for a certain type of map
when they
style.
locked in 2-2-2 and everything like that, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, and how do you feel about that as a team? Is that a good or a bad thing?
I mean, it's tough. We're like any other team that
It's like changing
in
a
stage
football
4.
size halfway through the
Exactly.
season.
Or the NHL rink now is 40 feet or whatever.
Totally.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it definitely comes with its price. I mean, you even saw our record kind of had a little bit of a tough go there in stage 4.
Yeah.
But that's what I think is such a unique thing about the Overwatch League,
Totally.
where we have that instant changes or even rollouts that can really keep the game up to date, and we can really take what the advisory panels or what our fans are saying and implement it right away. And our players are so good, and this is a scary thing, our players are so good that they adapt. And one thing that I love in the coaching part of it, and to talk about the strategy part of it again, like I'll always laugh, well, not laugh, I wasn't laughing then, I was almost in tears, but when when I realized that we were going to lose to the Shock in the grand finals, I realized Sinatra, the MVP, their best player, wasn't even playing. And they had to adapt to the strategy of that map and the meta and everything like that.
Sure.
Where literally, I was in the backstage when they won. Sinatra ran right by me. I'm like, that would be like Sidney Crosby not getting healthy scratch.
That's a different way you play when LeBron's on the bench.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's very unique that way, and I think any fan of a sport, again, or even just strategy, I respect that. I really respect that, and I think a lot of the players in the franchise do as well.
I think it's done a lot for game design in terms of really helping helping a whole generation of future industry professionals who want to build and design video games. Level design, map design, is everything. And there's there's many blogs out there. If you Google them now. You can even see stuff on whether you're on ArtStation or DeviantArt, some incredible work happening on the digital design and the art side of people just imagining a map for the purpose of, wouldn't it be cool to watch this game? And I'm going, there's nothing like this. I mean, we don't get to reimagine. At most, I could imagine a beautiful stadium I'd like to sit in a game and watch.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what's in Dallas. Dallas is insane.
AT&T,
It's the best.
Yeah.
But to imagine the ability to influence or by playing and the popularity of a map, see that there, and you're so familiar. It's like golf, I guess. If you've ever played Spyglass or whatever,
Different one,
you know how it rolls on the 7th green,
and
you know when you're watching this that it's going to just be that he's going to tuck up out of that corner, and if you don't have someone covering that alley,
you know you're done. Yeah.
What a cool thing.
And I was just going to say too, and not to get too corny here, but that's what's so crazy about esports that I found over my short time in it so far.
Yeah.
But it's like a mix of entertainment, professional sport, and artistry. Like it's pretty amazing that way when you throw all those things into a stew and roll it out. I mean it's pretty amazing, and that's where something where at the end of the day it's going to be 100 yards is a football field, an 80 by 20 is an ice rink, and that's something that's very different. I think a lot of people in the younger generation really identify with, where it's pretty amazing to throw those three things in and to roll out the product like a game like Overwatch.
I think you're absolutely right, and Tim, what's really interesting too is now you're also seeing the integration through performance capture, for example, the movement and the motion in particular games like Overwatch and Halo and Call of Duty, things like this, where this very human motion is essential to the viewer experience, to the audience experience, and the player experience. You're seeing real athletes and real actors now getting into the picture. Our performance capture studio, I'm a little plug for them downstairs. Their president CEO is actually going to be on the show soon. They did Gears of War 5 down there. We had Eric Jacobus was in, who is 8 of the 12 main players in Mortal Kombat 11.
Oh, that's so cool.
And you're seeing now like big name athletes, a lot of athletes even at the Madden, at the NBA 2K, NHL level are doing often their own stuff. And now you're getting some big names that are going to be stepping in. I won't spoil some of the ones that I was reading about for Overwatch because I'm not sure if we can say any of them yet, but there's some big names that are trying to take on some of those new parts.
Absolutely.
That is killer.
Yeah. And again, global. I hate to say again, but global superstars.
That's right. Yeah. The Asian influence can't be denied. I think they were the early adopters of it from day one. They knew that this was going to go big. What can somebody expect if it's their first time? Why should someone give esports a try? What's the experience going to be like at their first? What do you call it? A homestand event. whether it's here in Vancouver or in their market. And we'll put a link to the league so they can check their city.
Yep, I think first and foremost, what I'm excited for, kind of behind the scenes, is each homestand really reflecting the city it's in. So Dallas being a very Dallas, pulling on what makes Dallas so special. Atlanta, same thing. LA, Paris, Seoul, and then obviously the save the last for the best, but in Vancouver. And that's what I'm excited about, is when we roll out the carpet at Rogers Arena. I've harped on it about the festival like atmosphere, the range of, if this is your first esport event ever, if you're kind of Van curious, if you will, or if you are, you're showing up in a 9-foot Reinhardt suit. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have an absolute blast, and you're gonna feel that passion and that love for the city and love for the sport. I think it's something to be said as well, that you're at a professional stage from day one for the Titans as well. The Vancouver Canucks plays at Rogers Arena. The gold medal was won at Rogers Arena, and the first Vancouver Titans stand is at Rogers Arena. So and to go back to storytelling, what I can't wait is the awareness that we're rolling out. Probably in the next month here or so, about who our team is, what their players are, what their personal stories are, what the team story was last year. And I would love to see a kid like Fox come in and be like, oh wow, that's Hacksaw,
right?
And starting that kind of that relationship between your idol or your hero. That's what I'm most likely looking forward to. But it's going to be a great time. It's gonna any concert feel, anything like that, or any professional sport. I guarantee you, when you come, and the passion and what we have in store, entertainment wise, it's going to be a slap in the face.
Well, you guys are doing it right.
Yeah.
Tim Holloway, Director of Esports with Aquilini Entertainment. Will you come back and do the show halfway through the season? I want to check in with you guys and hear how it's going.
Absolutely.
I want to hear more about the players. This is a really exciting season. I think we're an international podcast. 50% of our base comes from all over the world here at VFS, but we are diehard Titans.
Yeah.
And I'm an LA guy for just about everything, but for you guys, I will support Titans, especially on home games.
Absolutely. There we go.
Will you come back and do the show, and we can get into a little more about the players? There's so much we want to do, but I want to thank you for coming in today.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a link below where people can get details. The season kicks off when?
So the season starts in February. Our first game is in Dallas, which is great. And then we actually hit the road and do our Asian road swing, which is pretty going to be a grind, but it's going to be great. And then our first Vancouver homestand is May 16th and 17th at Rogers Arena.
Thanks for coming to the show. Tim Holloway, Director of Esports with Aquilini Entertainment, the Vancouver Titans. They are coming, and if you want to get into Call of Duty, I'll put that information too. The new league begins as well. This is the inaugural season.
Call of Duty League starts January 24th in Minnesota. So all 12 teams there. It's going to be a real big show.
And the team to support is the Seattle
Surge.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show, my man.
Awesome. Thanks, Christopher. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Take care.